All right, ready? We're good.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another elderly episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 475, recorded Monday, May 6th, 2024. Tonight we're talking about another Patreon pick. This was chosen by the one, the only Hugh Janus. The movie is Old People from 2022. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randeezy. What is up?
Old people.
Old people. What's up?
I don't know exactly what that was, but it sounds like a hot jam that old people would love specifically.
Oh my God. It's a really hot jam. Yep. I'm excited to talk about Old People, the film. And that is literally the only thing that played through my head the entire experience because it was just lodged right in there. So thank you, Harmontown, for that.
Right on. Last but not least, our resident youngster. We got Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, howdy, children. It's old Pappy Stains here to read you a bedtime story.
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
I don't see one wrinkled face or a single toothless grin.
How many Werther's Originals you got in your lip there, Juice?
And my lips packed full of sticking out.
Yeah,
Is
6
that
or
what
8
that- I
just
always-
crammed down in there.
It's never been tobacco. It's always been Werther's Originals.
Dude,
So
my
people
great
love-
grandmother used to dip, and that shit used to freak me out.
My dad dipped. And
Yeah.
I think he still does. It's gross. It's gross.
Yeah,
If
she
you
was-
ever pick up
She
a
was a
cup,
hard,
filled with-
old ass lady.
Dude,
you ever pick up a cup filled with spit, it's gross.
Dude, yeah.
It
that
is
shit's
gross. I cannot remember who was telling me this story. It might have been one of my coworkers, but there was some lady that had a huge wad of tobacco on her lip. She was drinking sweet tea and was using her
Oh,
tea cup
no.
as her spit cup and
Oh,
was just drinking it.
what?
No.
That will make you
fuck up.
sick. I don't.
I
think that's
refuse to acknowledge
Yeah, I
that
don't think
happened.
that's okay.
That's some
No.
hardcore shit.
Oh my God. That's
Oh my god.
very upsetting. That's very upsetting.
Ooh, don't
Oh,
dip,
man.
kids.
Yeah, it's rough.
Do
It
hard
is.
drugs instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't be a loser. Do heroin.
Whoa.
You want that black tar. That's what you want.
By
Yeah,
hard
all the
drugs, I was
kids.
talking about marijuana, Bob. Come on.
The gateway drug.
Oh yes, the gateway to hell, marijuana. Let's carry on here, boys. We're talking about old people, but before we get into the review,
Gateway to hell.
marijuana, the devil's lettuce. Before we get into it, let's talk a little bit of housekeeping real quick. So we're in a new month here. Our May poll just closed out. We're going to be talking about Memories of Murder very soon. That did win. And that means we got a brand new poll posted. So if you guys support us over on our Patreon website at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this June. Randy, this is your takeover month. What's the
It
theme and
is.
what are the movies?
Right. So this month I've decided that I was going to lean into one of my interests, which is the cryptids. It's a cryptid creature month. And
Nice.
we've got 3 films in that vein. Only 2 of which I have seen. The first is the one I haven't seen, which is The Last Broadcast. Apparently about cryptids. I don't know much more than that. I'm taking it on faith. But that is like one of the earliest recognized found footage films. predating Blair Witch by about a year, I think. And then we also have the Mothman Prophecies, which I saw in theaters
Nice.
with my mom way back
Hell yeah.
when. And then let's see, what's the last one? Oh God, I'm blanking. Oh, Willow Creek, the Bobcat Goldthwait film, or the Bobcat Goldthwait's directorial film. He's not in it as far as I can remember. Another found footage though. So yeah.
Well, Bob, how are those numbers looking so far in the first week of May?
Well, the Mothman Prophecies is in first place with 52% of the vote. Second place, Willow Creek, 29%, and bringing up the rear, the last broadcast with 19%.
Close to an even split on that second place, though. There's some competition.
It is
Yeah.
some competition. Less than
Yeah.
I thought, but I think Mothman is definitely like the best known.
That
of
would
the
have been my
three, so that
guess.
sense.
Yeah, same. Sometimes we're way the fuck wrong, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
I've stopped making guesses in advance.
Yeah.
It's just done. No more.
Yeah. I haven't seen Mothman Prophecies in years. I remember liking it a good
Same.
bit. Willow Creek is a good one that I think a lot of people might not have seen either, though. It's worth seeing.
I haven't
I
seen
agree.
it. Yeah, I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Right? And last broadcast is found footage history.
These all sound like
Not
good
one that I've seen.
summer movies, though, so they all seem quite appropriate.
You know?
Mothman
But-
Prophecies, I'm pretty sure, is a Christmas movie.
Oh, goddamn.
is it?
I think so, yeah.
I don't remember that being the case.
Halfway
I
to
haven't seen it in
Christmas,
theaters.
Bob.
Like
Oh,
Christmas
boy.
lights around, I think. It's not like you know,
Actually,
Santa Claus
I'm
isn't
pretty
coming
sure.
down the chimney.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, well, I didn't remember that, but whatever.
Sneaky.
We'll see it.
Halfway.
To Christmas. Yeah. So yeah, get your votes in before the end of the month. We'll see what we're talking about this June. In other Patreon news, we're dropping mini casts every other Friday. This Friday, the 10th, we're dropping a Q&A that we recorded over at the Overlook Film Festival a few weeks ago. It took place after the 10th anniversary screening of Oculus, and Mike Flanagan was there up on stage answering a bunch of sweet questions. And we recorded that for you, and you get to hear it.
Nice.
There you go.
That was a fun time,
Flanagan.
man.
Did he talk
Yeah.
about making a new Exorcist film? Oh, God.
He did
He
not.
did not discuss that.
Oof.
That
Didn't come up.
bastard. But yeah, check that out. I want to say it was maybe 40 minutes long, 45 minutes long.
Yeah, that's
This
about what our mini cast is. Yeah.
decent little chunk. Yeah. So check that out this Friday. And also, at the time you're listening to this episode, we will have already released a brand new episode of Let's Get Physical Media. Mikey and I have a podcast to talk about Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs, things of that nature. And if you're into that, check us out everywhere you get your podcasts.
Bob, that reminds me that you're moving soon. And so we've placed a little wager on how many blues boxes will it take to pack up all of Bob's blues?
There it is.
You know, I don't know if we start counting the boxes even, I think we're gonna be doing this all day. I think we gotta count by the truckload.
How many trucks? I
How
mean,
many
he's got a whole
U-Hauls
room.
Did you need to
It's
rent?
There's a dedicated room.
It's going to take
Mhm.
3 semis, 40-foot trailers to get all these fucking movies to the new place.
Bob specifically
loads.
bought a new house so that he could have a bigger blue room.
It's a blue
Oh yeah,
house.
the old house is just made of blues at this point.
I live
It's in
in
the
a blue
walls.
house with a blue window, or whatever the fuck the lyrics are.
Very close, very close.
Something like that, you know.
So yeah, if you guys want to get in on this action, how many boxes will it take to pack up
This
Bob's
action.
blues?
How many boxes? What do you guys think? How many boxes of blues am I going to have?
Oh my god.
Oh my
Full
god.
size boxes? I don't know. I'm looking at them behind
yeah,
you. and
looking
I'm
at them
thinking,
behind you, I think
I'm
maybe
thinking 10.
that's what I was gonna go towards.
There's more on this wall that you can't see.
And
Oh,
then
I
there's
know.
some over on the other side too. So I'll
There's
go
a
with
little bit
12.
over here. 12, okay.
There's some in the crawl space, a few in the vents, a couple in the
Yeah.
freezer.
Keep them on ice.
Yeah. Got a lot of
12.
box sets over there too, Bob.
12 says Juice. Randy, you got a wager?
He said 10.
Oh, I said
Oh,
10,
10,
but
10 and
you know,
12. Okay, gotcha.
Go
mhm.
with an even does.
All right. Yeah, if you want to get in on this hot action, hit us up on Slack. We'll see.
Yes.
How many are
the-
gonna fit?
in this house.
And this. That's all I got. Do you guys have anything you want to plug?
I do have something. So at the same day, I believe, of this episode dropping, I'm going to have a guest feature dropping as well. This is going to be on a podcast called Don't Believe the Hype, which is an Arctic Monkeys specific podcast. I actually was on their show back around Christmas time to do a Christmas special with them. But they are in their third season now, going through the Arctic Monkeys' third album, Humbug. And I was on for their episode talking about a song called Fright Lined Dining Room, which is a Humbug B-side. So that was a lot of fun. I appreciate getting a chance to talk Arctic Monkeys always. So yeah, same day this episode drops, it should be dropping. Check out Don't Believe the Hype.
Nice.
Hell yeah. That record was, I remember when it first came out, it was kind of a grower. Like, I didn't love it at first, but I really like it quite a lot now.
Yeah.
As opposed to
A
previous.
shower.
yeah, thank you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of discussed that a little bit, just kind of like
Yeah.
how the album, kind of in general ranks now that they have like 7 albums out now. But yeah, definitely at the time it was the newest. It was the third, and it was definitely
Mhm.
weaker of the 3. But yeah, I really enjoy it these days. It's a good autumn listen. It's definitely their moodiest, kind of darkest
Yeah.
album. And the song we talked about is one of their just like general like heaviest songs that they have. So it's fun. I've always enjoyed that song. So it was a good discussion.
Yeah. That's a dope B-side. For
Yeah.
Sure. Rad. Yeah. Randy, you got anything?
Oh, not a damn thing. I think this house might be clean.
Mm-hmm.
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking old people, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I don't suppose you have this box. I'd be surprised if it even exists.
I don't have this, and I'm not totally sure it does exist.
Yeah. This
It's
is
I
a
mean
Net-
this is Netflix, yeah, so probably not.
this is
Maybe
a
there's
Netflixer.
maybe there's a German disc. Maybe
Mm.
not. I'm not sure. This is a German language film. You can watch it on Netflix currently. It's the movie Old People from 2022 with a runtime of 1 hour and 41 minutes. Directed by Andy Felsher, written by Andy Felsher as well. It stars Jolene Anderson, Adolfo Asor, Betsy Baker, and a bunch of other wonderful folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. A woman travels home with her 2 kids for her sister's wedding, but finds herself defending her family against blood-seeking pensioners.
All right.
Cool.
Sure.
Jill Hanks, have you seen this movie before? And would you recommend folks check it out? Randy, kick us off.
No, this is my first time seeing this film. I remember, like, I guess it somehow crossed my vision when it was on Netflix, I think, but I never looked into it really beyond that. So pretty blind watch. Yeah, I think I'd give it a light recommend. Throw it on, maybe on a weekend, short notice movie, that sort of thing. Probably one to do while you're doing other shit. It's a backgrounder for me.
And by the way, unless you can speak German, you won't be able to read the screen if you're doing shit. So you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss
No,
some
but they're
stuff.
like it defaults to a dubbed version, which I turned off for my purposes.
Yeah.
But
I did not have a dub version.
Yeah,
it's like all
subs.
dubs. It sounded unnatural, so I
Yeah.
switched it off. But
Yeah.
if I was just throwing it on for while I don't know, dyed my hair, I would probably throw on dubs.
right on. Perfect movie to dye your hair to. Randy,
Oh yes.
put it on the box. Juice, what about you?
I'd never heard of this movie before. First time watch for me. And I would say that I would say this felt like a very much kind of like medium horror film. Like I always go back to this, even though I think that movie was maybe like a little bit better than I give it credit for, but like Ouija Origins of Evil or something like that. It feels like you're looking for a possessed movie and you just want to go right down the line, watch this kind of movie. This movie feels like, oh, you want to watch some old people wreak havoc, watch this one, which is not, I mean, like not a particular one, but I mean, it's got some aspects like it kind of feels like a little bit like Asylum-y, and there's different, we'll get into it, but yeah, I would say just like a general basic recommend for just a kind of like solid but not amazing horror movie. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check this out?
This I'd never heard of this before. I didn't know anything about it. Definitely a first time watch for me. I found it to be maybe a little more underwhelming than you guys. It sounds like I don't think I would recommend this. I think this is probably one most folks could skip
Okay.
if you're listening to this show.
For shame!
Damn.
Bob hates old people. You heard it
You
here
heard it
first.
here. You're damn right.
Not like us.
I wanna fuck old people!
God damn.
We're all over the spectrum.
Coming at it from all different angles, baby. That's the only way to do it. Very diverse.
Yeah.
Everybody needs love. No king shame.
Yeah.
None.
It sounds like
Not a
a
one.
weak recommendation across the board, I would say.
All right.
Weak. All right.
Let's call it weak.
Medium to
is
weak.
It weak? Is it weak?
It's a little watered down.
We are going to be spoiling the shit out of old people. We spoil old people every week on this show.
We sure
here
do.
comes-
We'll never
here
be
come-
attacked.
Here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Bob, did you type up that plot synopsis?
I did.
All right.
Oh
hit me
boy.
with that.
Here we go.
I think I got it. But
And
we'll
these
find out.
stupid people did this
These
dumb
idiots.
thing.
Don't miss anything, Bob.
Okay, here we go. The movie opens up with some words on the screen saying, in olden times, it was thought avenging spirits would inhabit old people and send them into a blind rage.
So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time.
Need to bring that
Understandable.
back.
We then see a nurse pull up to a nursing home and begin her shift. An elderly patient by the name of Mr. Rank kills her with his oxygen tank. We then jump back in time, I believe, one day. I don't think it specified, but it seemed like it was just one day. And we meet our main characters, Ella and her two kids. They're driving to Ella's family home for her sister's wedding. They get to the house. They go to pick up Grandpa from a nearby nursing home. It's the home we see at the beginning of the movie. It's very dirty and understaffed. Back at the house, the wedding celebrations go well, and the old people at the old folks' home can hear the party happen. One old person ends up biting through an energized wire, and power goes out. The others stab the nurses to death with glass. An old man, Rank, finds a wedding invitation, and they end up going over to the house. The happily married couple walk from the main house to the cabin next door to consummate their marriage. Rank sneaks in and kills them both. Back in the main house, Ella sees a swarm of old folks walking towards them. She goes to the cabin and sees the carnage. She can't find her boy Noah anywhere. She panics. They lock up the house, but Rank gets in. Ella stabs him with a fork and they tape him down to a table. Noah shows up. He was just hiding in the attic because he's smart. Ella's ex-husband, Lucas, brought his new squeeze Kim to the wedding. Kim decides this is all Ella's fault somehow. She knocks her out and drags her outside for the old folks to kill. Lucas saves Ella, and Kim jumps out the second-story window. The old folks cut her throat. More old people get inside. They start a fire. The kids find a secret tunnel that connects the main house to the cabin next to it. The old people chase after him. Ella gets killed in the tunnel, but the kids escape. They find their grandpa and Rank. Rank attacks the girl, but before he can cut her throat, she starts singing a song that her whole family knows. Her grandpa sort of snaps out of it and kills Rank, saving his granddaughter. Grandpa and the kids run over to the beach and they get picked up by a boat. There's a closing narration provided by the young girl who says she asked her grandpa if the young folks could have done anything to ward off the anger the old folks felt, Grandpa says he's too old and just can't remember that far back. Roll them credits to a really cool trap beat. Boom.
All right,
That's
that's
my
all.
grandpa's favorite song.
Old people love trap music. They
Oh,
can't get
yes.
enough.
Oh yeah. So this movie felt like it was pulling from a lot of kind of like different sources. So it felt like a little bit of a kind of Frankenstein, because you do have at the beginning you kind of got this like dirty asylum, and so it kind of had some aspects of that, like, oh, there's some crazy people or people who've lost their mind, and that's unsettling, or somebody who's like fallen in the shower and she's naked and stuff, so it had a little bit aspects of that. Later on we get aspects of kind of just almost like zombies, where there's just this horde and there's just a lot of them. There were aspects of it too that reminded me of that film. Is it The Crazies, or just people acting in strange ways? You have other movies like that, like, was it The Happening, I guess you could also say, where people are just like killing
Yes.
themselves,
It's
things
happening.
like it's happened.
He
But I mean,
invoked The Happening.
it just felt like they were pulling from a lot of kind of like different aspects, and in that way, that's what I was kind of saying. It kind of like feels medium. It's like, there's just like, some pretty stock standard spooky things going on. I could imagine watching this as like a 15-year-old scrolling through Netflix and being like, what is this old people, and throwing on, and it kind of like living in my mind later, like something like The Crazies remake or something, something like that, where it's just like, it's fine, it's solid, but it's not gonna like blow you away,
I mean, I agree with a lot of that myself. Yeah, I think that this movie is like it kind of is a message movie a little bit, but it's also so blunt and upfront with its message that it like is not interesting by the time you get to like even the midway point. The message is like, don't neglect your elders, and there's like the asylum you're talking about is like, it's a nursing home, and they're understaffed, underfunded, people don't care anymore, and that's the whole reason that this happens, is because the elderly are neglected and therefore are then possessed, is I guess what's being implied.
Except they then at the end of the movie they're like, it happened everywhere, so I'm like, well, that kind of undercuts that a little bit.
Yeah, that's true, because like they really set up the town to be like a dying town that's just supporting a bunch of elderly people, and everybody's moved away except for this couple that's there to get wed at their family home. So yeah, that is a little bit backwards and forwards, but I feel like, did they say that it happened simultaneously, or that the girl was like, I think this is gonna happen everywhere? Because that could I think that's what she said, is it's like, I think this is destined to happen everywhere, or something like that, which does play into the idea of like, yeah, like this is not just a problem in this one spot, it's a problem everywhere. Aren't you afraid of that? Or don't you think you should solve this problem? And in that way, it reminded me of like The Farm. You remember The Farm, where it's just like very on the nose and like very like forward with its messaging, and everything else around it is, I would say, better than that film. But like, I think the acting is all right in this movie. I think that some of the writing though is just like very rote and like sometimes by numbers, for the most part. I will say this though, like, I'm not sure how I feel about the actual treatment of like the way that the writers treat the elderly. You know what I mean? Like, because do they specifically say, I asked Beck about this. Beck's worked in nursing homes, right? And so I was like, Beck, like, how accurate is this? Obviously they're playing it up. It shouldn't be this dark, for one thing. It shouldn't seem like Geraldo's going to jump in and do an expose any second now. But like, they're not even talking. There's no jeopardy on. Like, I've been to nursing homes too, and they're not necessarily like this. And Beck's like, well, they're like maybe in like a dementia ward, but they don't specify that. And that is kind of like a touchy subject that they're kind of idling against a little bit. It doesn't feel, I don't know of how respectful it feels of that. You know what I mean?
The like avenging spirits angle to this kind of muddled the messaging for me some. Like, why can't they just be sick of their circumstances and like start killing folks? Why do they have to be like possessed? And then I guess they're just creepy. They're just not possessed anymore. Yeah, and it seems, I mean, I guess
it like
they're
gives them
possessed
abilities. kind of.
Yeah,
It makes
that's the
them
thing,
it's like they're
stronger.
suddenly so
That's
capable,
so
like
silly.
like mercenaries.
Yeah,
The guy, I was probably the creepiest part of the movie, but also like maybe the funniest part of the movie is when like King Old Man Rank or whatever kills the married couple and like
Oh, no.
murders that dude when he's like mid stroke, like when they're like having sex or whatever, and then drools all over the bride and like gums her face. It's like pretty horrific, but also kind
It
of
just
funny.
hits a Sam Raimi moment for some
Dude,
reason.
I
and
was
like,
thinking the
yeah.
same because we
Mrs.
had
Ganesh
Drag Me
and him
to
could get together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Drag Me to
yeah.
Hell like 2 weeks ago where the old people are spewing shit all over you. I was like, God damn.
But the angle
Yeah.
wasn't that Mrs. Ganesh was old. It was other
No,
things.
well, yeah.
But like, I don't know. I kind of get that same vibe from this, where it's like this feels like none of these people seem like they're all there. They all seem some way demented, all sundowned in some way, and that's a touchy subject. And to basically turn them into like either like completely helpless zombies or
Mhm.
like absolute baller killer fucking Deadpool zombies. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of weird, and I kind of feel like if they wanted to make I think if they wanted to make, like you said, Bob, without the lore aspect or whatever, I think that they don't get that exposition dump for one thing, which I think they desperately wanted. But also, it just seems like it would be more comedic. Like it's
Mm.
like I don't know. I feel like there could be a comedy version of this where it's like, you're being terrorized by a bunch of old folks, but they're like, I learned this one in Nam, and like I don't know, like having like fucking characters and shit, like.
That is
I don't know.
VFW.
Dude, that would be pretty funny.
I
But
could see
yeah,
it being a pretty comedic take, but it's not that at all. It's instead a warning, a parable,
mhm.
and it's put up right up front, and that's all the way through.
Take
like,
care of the
very
elderly,
ominous.
or they'll get possessed and murder you.
Well, I think
Yeah.
too, there's even this angle too that would make this film stronger if you weren't so blunt, because I think that there are a lot, we talk about horror being sometimes this conduit for the current social fears or something. I remember last year, I think at one of the festivals there was this big Japanese film that was kind of like making a lot of stir, and it was about the elderly population in Japan and how it's becoming like overwhelmingly huge to where like the social construct isn't going to be able to support it, and like everyone knows that, but it's kind of like, what are you gonna do, and so that film, not I didn't see the film, to be fair, but I remember reading a lot about it, and it was the aspect of, should we make like euthanasia legal for these kinds of
shit.
purposes? Like, should people get to a point to where they're like, I'm old, the social community can't support me, I don't want to just be like rotting away in some corner of some old house, and like, should I be able to have assisted suicide available to me? So that was kind of the idea. But I mean, I think even in Korea, the birth rate is garbage. Like, it is absolutely not replacing like the community and things like that. It's not at a replacement rate, and so it's going to be like this huge top heavy pyramid. And it's like, what I'm saying is, I think that there are things that this movie could have gone with,
Yeah.
that it didn't. Instead,
It
it
just
seemed
stopped short of anything like that.
yeah, it seemed like it was more wanting to, and also too, not only just like don't abuse the elderly, but the whole kind of like appreciate family aspect, of like, which I don't know, like, did it make a lot of sense why would you marry a newly married couple if you want to support families? Like,
You
I
mean
get,
murder a newly married couple?
yeah, what did I say?
Well, that's the thing. It's like
Marry a newly married
Okay,
murder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, murder.
I'll marry as many couples as will have me.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like it could have gone deeper. It could have touched on those things.
It definitely could have gone deeper. It just seems so surface level to me. It's very weird to me
Yeah.
that your big point, the thing that's like slapped on the front of this movie and centered on throughout the entire thing, but it's the family thing, but but primarily take care of your elders. And you do that by making the elders brainless monsters who want to murder your
Terrifying?
family. And
Yeah.
like,
And gross.
that seems backwards. And then also like Kim, who is like their nurse and who is like actively advocating for them as part of an exposition dump when they walk into this underfunded facility. She's like, yeah, we can't keep up with it, and I wish this would change, whatever. They could have said more about that. They could have talked more about that, but instead what they did was they turned Kim into like a repulsive figure by the end of the movie. Like, not just like that she's a little jealous that her husband's
Yeah.
ex is in town or whatever, and he's like spending time with them, but also like that like morphs into just like thinking, or like she goes insane or what, I don't know, whatever you want to say
she
about it.
gets
She turns,
possessed too,
she
or
like
something.
immediately sells out that little kid, and it's like this person went from the most caring person in the movie to the least for some reason.
Potential
And it's
cooter, maybe.
Yeah, I think
Maybe,
so. I
yeah.
mean, it's just
Yeah.
like, but it starts off so like she starts off as like seeming like a pretty sweet person that's just sort of maybe a little hung up on something, but is fine. And I guess
Yeah.
for the drama of it, they have to like.
Yeah.
I just feel like they positioned her weird to then transition her into that, especially for a movie that's supposed to be taking her original point of view and making it law, so to speak.
Well, I think that ties into the weird kind of morality aspect that they're playing with here, which I think you know what, yeah, you can go on the whole don't abuse your elders or whatever, but the family aspect is super weird because yeah, like you said, it makes it seem like, yeah, see, your girlfriend who you left your wife for, she's the
Yeah,
evil
it's
one
weirdly
or something. It's
conservative,
like,
isn't it?
yeah,
Like,
and but it makes the wife, oh, you're having fun with your wife and kids. Don't you miss like this aspect of family life? But yeah, it's a weird take.
we never find out. Do we ever find out why they split? Like, I don't think
Yeah,
it's ever brought up. Do
yeah,
we?
yeah. So they
Oh,
lived
okay.
in this small town. That's where
Yeah.
the kids are from. That's where they lived. The wife had an opportunity with her job or something. She's a lawyer, maybe, to work in Berlin. So she took the kids and she moved to Berlin. She didn't want to get stuck in this podunk town, essentially. And he wanted to stay in his roots. So that's why they split. She got a better job in the city.
That's so weird to
Die
me.
Hard. It's Die Hard.
It's Die Hard, but it's also like, I don't know, like, but both of them are so like even keeled and not John
Yeah.
McClane about it, and not even Holly Gennaro about it. They're just like, oh man, like they're clearly like miss each other, but this guy's got another wife or girlfriend at least, and like their kids hate them for this, and it's kind of hard not to see why. I don't know, like they're really positioning this family as like they should be together. They should be together,
Yeah.
and like the whole movie is positioned towards pulling them back together as a unit just in time for the kids to just survive so that it becomes tragic as well.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, it is very strange, the family stuff, and it doesn't even blend well, I don't think, with the elderly point of view. Like, it doesn't make
No.
sense to me.
It also
Or it does, but it's like just so I don't know, conservative feeling.
It seems like Frankenstein again. It's like, oh, we have this like theme, and you kind of pull in this other theme. Yeah.
I wonder if there was some information, maybe like some connective like conversation or context or whatever that was just lost in translation with this.
Maybe.
That like, because it feels kind of scattershot and very inconsistent, and maybe it just is, but maybe like the translation just isn't really dope.
Or maybe there's cultural differences too.
Could
yeah,
be,
like,
yeah.
There's a million
Yeah.
things that could be in the mix, but
That's true.
we don't know what that is. So
There was also like a weird, the one moment that like really just flat out tells you what the point of the movie is, which was unnecessary, felt hella out of place. When Rank is taped to the table and he's like, they got a gun on him, and he's like, you might as well shoot me. I'd rather die than live like an animal for another day, or whatever he says.
yeah.
And in that moment, it's like, it seems like they're not fully like in control of their bodies, but in that moment, he seems just
Like
like
he
an
knows what he's
angry old
doing,
guy.
yeah.
He's
Like, he seems like he
choosing to
knows
do it.
exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And especially, and communicates that to them.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody
Yeah.
else communicates except for their grandpa, who's clearly conflicted and is only brought back by like the singing thing, which I grant them is like, that's a real thing. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody is demented and you can bring them back, tether them back to coherent thought with music they recognize. That is a true thing, and I thought that was kind of a cool
That's
way of
cool.
working that in. But like, I don't know, like aside from those two characters, neither of them speak, and like that is treated as an act of kindness that breaks him out of a spell. But like, I don't know, even the killer guy is like, he's like doing this like consternated face when she's singing, like, oh no, I
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing this
He's
because
like
it's a show of love, so the
stunned.
spell is
Yeah.
breaking. But she's not my grandchild, so I don't care as much as this guy. And so
Yeah.
Grandpa kills him. But like, I don't know, man. Like, it just seems very confused in terms of like the nuts and bolts of what it wants to be, even though it like explains itself over and over again. I can't tell how much they actually want to chalk up to allegory and how much they want to chalk up to a curse and like make it part of the lore. It just
Well,
seems
because I
strange.
was wondering too, because you have this token that the kids go see on this island or something when Alex and the girl go, and it's got these like 4 faces on it. It looks cool or whatever. But another
Oh,
thing
yeah.
they say, oh, your parents carved their names onto it, and I thought that was gonna be like you disrespected the gods or
Yeah.
something type of thing, so you got the curse on you. But they didn't really go with that. So I mean, they do, yeah, they're always hinting at this old pagan type of spirit that's coming for you. But and I mean, I think the aspect to, like you said, where he says I don't want to be treated like an animal anymore, and we have the whole aspect where you go into the asylum or the retirement home and
It is like in
but
movie
they play
terms,
it
Yeah.
like
it is an
that, yeah.
asylum.
It looks abandoned, basically.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's terrible. Yeah.
So I mean, you go in there and there's just people, staring at the wall. Even the guy, he's like, "You're not gonna listen to music." He's just kind of shitty or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I mean, they had that
was the last
strong
straw.
core of like, yeah, I'm fed up with this. But also too, at the same time though, yeah, it kind of goes against itself, and it's like these are like the 3 people who are willing to stay in this shit ass town just to take care of you.
Yeah.
So they're going to be the first ones to die, and they're going to be
Mhm.
and Kim, like you said, it's weird to make Kim the ultimate villain when or one of the villains when she's the one person who stuck around, and like she said, I took care of your father when you abandoned him, and yet
Yeah,
she's
Yeah.
made to be the shittiest one.
They go
Yeah.
like pick the grandfather up and bring him over for the celebration, and like none of these people should die. Like
Yeah.
No.
they just happen to be there, so they do
Yeah.
die. There's
And the guy. Sorry, go ahead.
this to slightly change the subject. There's like this fucking trope that I can't stand, and I'm so sick of seeing. It drives me nuts, dude. As soon as this kid pulls out this fucking inhaler, it's like Chekhov's inhaler. Like he's gonna fucking lose it at some
Yeah.
point later in the movie, and he's gonna have an asthma attack. I am so sick of that fucking trope.
Scream 5, baby.
Oh
Signs,
my God.
baby.
Yeah,
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
yeah, it is too damn bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
That's
a
true.
lot of the beats of this movie feel like your kind of stock standard
Yeah,
things. Which though, to be fair, because we've been railing on it a little bit. So the horror
Mhm.
aspects of it, I thought some aspects of it I actually thought were played pretty good, like elevating it a scotch, like taking the kind of standard stuff and then like giving it a little extra pizzazz or something. So the kill with the married couple, I thought that was pretty cool. And they even do this thing.
Yeah.
It's gotta be on purpose, but when he walks in first, there's a couple different weapons. It was kind of reminding me of Cabin in the Woods a little bit, where I saw like a hatchet, at least. That's the one that stuck out to me. I thought he was gonna like reach for the hatchet, but him going for this ball or this
Mhm.
and then
What is it, a
like
doorknob or something? I
no,
don't
he
know.
took it off it's a bed knob.
Oh, a bed knob,
post.
yeah.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
rips it off. It's metal. He like rips it
yeah.
off.
And he puts it in his socket, and he's got the gnarly fucking
His
foot.
foot.
We've had a lot of foot and toe action.
Yeah. The nurse at the
We
very
gotta get
beginning of
Quentin.
this movie specifically says she's not into foot stuff for some reason. I don't know. Yeah.
So
I didn't remember.
so yeah, so that kill and just like that kind of aspect and the way that I kind of drools on the woman or whatever, I thought we were going into a maybe Hills Have Eyes little section there, because they were banging it out at the time, but they didn't go that far. But I thought that sequence from a horror standpoint was pretty cool and interesting.
Mhm.
I thought that was definitely one of the strongest like horror moments
Yeah.
of this film. And they have some more that are, kind of like that. But yeah, I mean, I thought that they elevated themselves a scotch at times.
I agree.
It
I
is
think,
like generally
Tom.
spooky, just like across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a decent level of spookiness here that they maintain. So like it has the vibes. It's
Yeah.
just not super dialed in elsewhere.
Right. I think it's just kind of confused in its writing and some of its like narrative execution, but like in terms of like the beats or like individual moments in a vacuum, there's a lot of them that are like done pretty well. Like if you just take
Yeah.
5 minutes out of this film, any 5 minutes out of this film, you're likely to find something that's like reasonably effective. Like the lighting's good, the blocking's good,
Yeah.
like the jumps are good, the just like dread is there to some extent, a little bit, and I think that all like kind of works. But it's like it's what it's in service to and what it's like really centering around
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of sense. So like the weight gets drained out of it in a lot of ways. So like
Say
that's
that
kind of the
too.
drag of it. I
There
think
was never
craft-wise,
any.
though. It's
Yeah.
pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
There was
it looks
never
good.
anything that made this movie hard to watch. Like, there wasn't bits of dialogue that were just like really garbage. There wasn't any character who was just like not doing a good job. There was, it was all just very medium to me. I was like, yeah, I can take, like you said, the setting, the lighting, the just general setup of everything was just, it was fine. It was just
It was good.
fine to
even.
good.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't have a whole lot of complaints about the craft of this movie. All my complaints center around like
The idea.
what they're saying, what they seem to be trying to say, and how they're
Mhm.
failing at that.
Me too.
And then,
Yeah.
like incongruity within itself. Like
Yeah.
those are the problems. So I don't know.
I would say that too.
I-
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to like about this movie in its experience, but not a lot to like about it after it's done, which is why it's not like a movie that I recommend for more than just a passing interest. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
it doesn't, to my mind, say anything good, all that good or unexpected, or doesn't say a whole lot strongly that they don't say strongly in the first 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like it just trails itself behind that,
Yeah.
trying to like bring it home in a more impactful way, but it doesn't because it's confused. Like it confuses me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
This would have been, this doesn't really happen anymore, but like if you were, a 12-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, whatever, and you were like, up late on a Friday night, just channel surfing, and you come across this on HBO or something, this would be like kind of one of those movies that would catch your eye most likely and be like, oh, what the fuck? Why are these old people just murdering everybody? And you'd probably
that's
hang out
true.
and watch it and have a decent time with it because you got, you're caught off guard, no expectations, one of those situations. But I don't know that anybody's probably going to be, scrolling through Netflix and like accidentally stumble upon this. It's just too much shit on there. But in that context, I think it could be pretty fun, like a nice surprise, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just like on its face, it's very hard line to walk to make this not a silly movie, and they walk it really hard. Like they walk hard. No, they really try and like line in terms of making it scary, not silly. They come close a number of times to be verging into silliness. Like what is it? I think like spitting up in front of the person or whatever. That's like
yeah.
that's just very like it's a little bit hard to take as menacing because it's so like I don't know, like it's so kind of painfully obvious and also like
Well, in that, yeah.
disrespectful.
Well, in that way,
Yeah,
it felt specifically like it was geared toward a younger audience. Because I will say,
Mhm.
now, this is something that was kind of reminded me of this, like from my perspective, and kind of why this film maybe resonated with me a little bit more is because when I was younger in middle school, when I would go to church every, like, I don't know, maybe once a quarter, I would say, so a couple times a year, they would take like the middle school kids. I don't think they did with high school kids, young adults, and they're like trying to teach you like good things or whatever. And instead of going to church, they would like take us to the retirement home where
The
they would have
asylum.
the asylum, where they would have like, you know, the retirement church. Or did you ever do that, Randy? Did you ever go to like a retirement home for church
I
or
don't know if I
whatever?
did it with church, but I definitely did it with like band and like
Okay.
4-H club. There's a number
Yeah.
of, and I also had some family that was in nursing
Yeah.
homes when I was quite young. So like I spent some time at them. And yeah, like
Yeah.
when you're a kid, there is something spooky about that sort of thing. Is that what you're
Yeah,
getting to?
exactly. Yeah. So I always hated it. One, because none of my family was there. So it's
Mhm.
just going to meet a bunch of random old people who I don't know. And you gotta like sit next to them and help them like do things. And for me, this is still true. I have like 0% nurture like in me. I don't I don't
What does
like
that
to help
mean?
people do shit. Like I don't like I could never be a doctor or a nurse or something. I just like don't want to deal with people's bodies or like
I'm
like
old. My plumbing don't work so good no more.
I don't have this, I don't know, nurture need to like help people do things, I guess. So it was always like creepy to me to go to the nursing home. And so yeah, there's this kind of spooky element to me of, you know, these old people, and yeah, they're like spitting up and stuff like that. Their feet are like gnarly and dirty and gross or whatever. It's, I don't know. There's
Which happens. And this the thing is like
yeah.
Yeah.
that's the thing is like that is somewhat true to life, but it's also like I don't know, man. There's something very like I, I don't know. Maybe they're going. The thing is like the person seeing this that we're for our point of view in this scene is someone older than I am. I think so. Like now, so like it's not like it's a kid's point of view. I think that like if you
Oh
want to
yeah.
see a version of that kind of works, it's actually Silent Night, Deadly Night. They have a great scene like that where like the grandpa like pulls the kid aside and has like a rant at
yeah.
him that
That's
Dude, yeah.
scars the kid.
It's a
And, like, I
great
don't know.
moment.
It's like so ridiculous and crazy and fun, like, but like I don't know. It feels kind of cheap a little bit. Like it
Yeah.
feels like like I can understand like yes, oh yeah, it's something that spooked me out as a kid. I'm gonna work on a movie. I understand that impulse, but the way that it plays out is it feels almost exploitative in a way.
It
Like,
does, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it.
I don't
I'm
think this
struggling.
movie is constructed in a way that's going to make anybody want to run out and like, you know, help feed or
No.
bathe old people because the old people in this are terrifying.
Yeah, you could flip the script, and you could take any general, like you could take any group of people and place them into the old people role, and it would feel a lot more exploitative. So if you just said although the women are going crazy because they're not getting enough attention and you need to give women attention, you know, it's just like you'd be like, well, damn, okay, that's not such a good movie.
All the men are going crazy because no
They
one
don't.
listens to their podcast.
They're murdering.
Have you heard of our
Have you heard of our
podcast? There it
You
is.
need to treat them with respect. No, so yeah, I mean, if you flip the script on like any other demographic, then it's a lot easier to see of like, yeah, this is not.
Yeah. Is it? Do you treat the women or the podcasters with respect, or is it both?
Well, both.
Obviously.
More so the podcast.
Now, I know you're gonna scoff
Oh,
at this,
there it
but there
is.
actually are people that are both.
No, that's impossible.
What?
I know.
What?
No, I don't know. Like it
This
it
is
just
a
feels, and
man's
I don't know how.
world.
I don't even know if I can
my
really
God.
justify it. I don't know if I can really justify it, but it really does feel like some of those scenes are like a little bit like easy pickings, like low hanging fruit to the point
Sure.
where it's like a little, but it is also the only like true horror to like be had there because there's no zombie elderly committees going out bludgeoning people to death
Yeah.
with bed knobs. Like that's not a thing. So they like turn them from like, ooh, that's kind of spooky and they're being neglected. Oh, that sucks, to like, oh, now it's metastasizing it. A curse has turned them into like
Yeah.
ravenous zombie motherfuckers. It's not just dementia anymore, motherfucker. It's demonic. And it's like, I don't know, man. This is the metaphor is getting mixed like crazy, and I don't know what to make of it anymore, except that I know outright what the movie wants to tell me because it tells me more than
It
once.
says it, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Well, even like we said before, well, okay, well, the people who are actually doing what they're supposed to do, or what the
Right.
movie says they're supposed to do, are the ones who are
Making it
made to be
worse.
villains. Yeah. So the old people, the old people turn to villains. You're saying don't abuse the old people. Even like the married couple. Like she literally like wanted to go back to the town to get married. She had like a fondness for this, and like they're growing their new family and they get murdered
Yeah.
first. And then the nurse who literally takes care of everybody, she gets
Yeah.
murdered and turns
Well, she
into
gets
a
murdered
piece
for the
of
crime
shit.
of home wrecking.
Yeah.
Like that's what it
Yeah.
feels like. It feels like her character is like goes from like a somewhat altruistic character to being
Yeah.
like strictly and totally like the bitch stepmother who
Yeah.
ruined your family for no good reason.
How
And it's
dare
like,
you
I don't-
dance with your kids?
How dare you dance with your kids? And then after that, like the moment where you really see it is like that moment's like, okay, that's a little much. But when she's like sells out the teenage
Yeah.
girl, it's like, what the fuck? Like this person dedicated her life to taking care of the elderly in a shitty situation with no other people her age around, but she's gonna sell out this kid immediately? I don't
And that's the thing, they
buy that.
imply that she kind of gets the curse, which doesn't make a lot of sense because her and that old guy kind of like lock eyes, and it
Yeah.
seems like she's kind of
You think
losing
she's
her
a-
mind or something.
Well, I thought she was just like traumatized and like this is how she's reacting.
I
is how
thought that there was a
Mhm.
little bit of implication that because there was like these knowing looks that they gave each other.
That
think
was
it's just 'cause they
she's
knew each
not
other.
old. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I
Doesn't make
know,
sense. If
no,
that's
I
true, that
absolutely,
doesn't make any
yeah,
sense.
absolutely agree, yeah.
And if it's not true, then she's just like kind of losing it and like I think trying to like it seems like they're positioning her as like she's so upset about her husband or her whatever boyfriend. I can't remember if they're married or not, but she's so upset about her like the situation with her husband's ex that she is willing to have children murdered and like parlay her good and decency towards these people into protecting herself at the expense of like a 16-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy and this woman who did nothing except
Yeah.
marry the person that she ended up marrying afterwards. Like
Exactly.
this seems it just like that character is kind of fucked like from top to bottom. It doesn't make any sense. If they
Yeah.
changed that writing entirely on just that character and or like split that character into two people or something, or showed maybe she's the one that's abusive at the nursing home and then the nice one they meet and that's the person who gives you that oh so necessary info dump about there being no funding and how horrible it is to treat elderly this way. And then, but the new wife, she's from the jump, just like taking people's jello away or like whatever, doing
Yeah.
whatever, like closing the window on their music, whatever it is.
Give me that
I mean,
fucking jello.
but she doesn't do that. She's like caring for these people when no one else will, and it just
We
doesn't
have
make
to
sense,
ration the jello.
One of the other nurses, right before they all like lose their minds and start stabbing people with glass and stuff, one of them's like, "All right, it's time for bed," and it's like kind of early, and then they all just fucking lose their minds and start.
Well, they're trying to listen to the wedding music, and he's being a real
Yeah.
piece of shit.
I don't know. I just thought that was funny, accidentally funny.
Now, another one that I thought was a pretty cool fucked up thing was the woman chewing on the electric wire. That was pretty fucked up.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh
I
yeah,
did kind of like that. I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, that's I mean
it's
that's kind of a
disturbing. It
unique
lives with you.
angle. It's
Yeah,
just- right.
like that. So okay, so those kind of moments of an old lady chewing on a wire, like I'll probably kind of remember that, like that'll kind of stick in the back of my mind. Or this guy killing people with this bed knob, like that's pretty unique aspect. Like there are aspects of this that will kind of live in my mind to remember this movie by, even though like mostly I'll just forget it. But yeah, I mean, I think it does some things well, so I don't want to just like totally knock on it because I
Yeah, I agree.
didn't have a bad time necessarily watching this movie.
That's the thing is like, yeah, I like when I said earlier is like this is a movie that is good, reasonable and good to watch, but
Yeah.
like when you're forced to sit down and interrogate it at all, like we're doing right now, it's hard
Yeah.
not to fixate on some of these
Sure.
problems because they really do take away. It's subtractive to the whole thing.
It really just, it really feels like it's geared toward a younger audience because even the messaging is so simplistic that it really
Yeah.
is like what you could take away is like, don't abuse the elderly and grow your family or or something like that,
that's
which,
fair.
and it's like, yeah. And two of the main characters are kids. So if you really look at it as a movie that's really geared toward like a younger audience type of horror film, there's no nudity, there's no yabos going on. Well, old
There's-
people, but yeah.
Oh, but they don't count.
There.
The whole point of the movie just flew right over Justin's head.
But
no, I mean I kind of
yeah.
agree. Like if you look at it like a like on the same level as like The Nun or something, it's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Like because it has something to say and it's accessible to a younger audience. I could see that point of view, but I don't think it's like strong enough for people that already know that what
Sure.
happens when you're age and like if you're actually trying to like put out a movie that's about like people's fear of aging and how they deal with that fear by neglecting the elderly or not thinking about it or putting them in a home or pushing them aside. There's a whole lot of ways to do that doesn't require turning them themselves into the villain.
Yeah.
At least not like them as a whole, as a unit. All old people are now fucking zombie villains. If you want to have that movie, you can have like
all
I don't know,
podcasters are
the
now
Expendables.
I would watch that.
My
You better
I was
take care of
infected by
your
my Libsyn account.
podcasters, or
No, like
else
but
they'll
like
kill you.
for real, like have like fucking
We've
the
got the
Expendables,
numbers.
but with the elderly, and like have Rank run this operation where he's like they don't listen. I've written to the senators over and over again. They don't respond. I go to town and blah blah blah, whatever.
I go to
And then
town
rallies
on
a
them
little crew of little
every
gang
night, and
elderly
they
people.
still listen.
And with hijinks abound, they get out there and they start fucking murking people until finally the grandpa who's in the committee realizes, oh my God, my grandkids are in town and has to protect them without getting himself killed. Like there's ways to do this. I don't know. That's
They
just off the
start
cuff.
fucking murking
I don't know, man. It just
people.
I don't know. For all the good qualities of it, it really does drag itself down in so many key ways when you just start to like look at it for even more than a second. And I really don't know that there's much more you can say about that other than that. It's like it doesn't it verges towards silly sometimes. For the most part, aesthetically, it's good. It's just not good narratively. It's confused in its metaphors. It's trying to say something and show something different at the same time.
Randy.
It's fucking weird.
Randy, you're wrapping up already. Let's
I
just
thought
do it.
I came back in. I thought we had
Let's-
landed the plane.
Yeah, let's land the plane, Randy. Continue. What do you?
Yeah,
how do you
just
feel
finish
out of,
that
out
thought.
of 5?
I mean, that is pretty much the thought. I just think that this movie like it confuses its metaphors so much that it can't sell home the idea that it repeatedly states. I feel like it feels like it has to repeatedly state it because it undercuts it in so many narrative ways. Like having we've already covered them. Like I don't know, like or not all of them, but we've covered quite a few of them. I can't think of a whole lot of examples of things that are set up that are done ultimately well throughout by the end of the movie. Like even like the teenage girl with the boyfriend or whatever, like it just seems like a Deus Ex Machina a little bit.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. I don't know. The song worked. I will say the song setup that worked. I will give it credit for that. And I think that individual beats of this movie worked pretty well. But as a whole, it's a muddled mess, I think, and narratively it just looks good and plays out pretty fun ultimately. So I think that's going to put it right down the line for me at a 2.5.
Right on. 2.5 from Ran Deasy. Juice. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel very similar. I agree. Like the song worked for me too. Even like having the grandpa be this kind of double agent or kind of be the one that kind of snaps out of it, and the tied to the kids, I think that's the strongest thing, especially the little one. He's like so cute, and he at the wedding he's playing cards with his grandpa, and I think maybe if they had to even spent a little bit more time on that instead of the family drama of the ex-wife and the new girlfriend and stuff like that, if we had spent a little bit more time with this kid maybe playing with some other people in the asylum now, in the retirement home, or just, I like seeing him play with his grandpa, and then, him coming out. I kind of like the surprise of, oh, grandpa told me to hide in the attic, or, I think they could have maybe lived with that a little bit more. We could have seen maybe other aspects of that in different instances, but that was another positive I just kind of wanted to touch on. But yeah, I mean, I think we covered it mostly. Just it feels a little too blunt, but also too in its like basic messaging, it still gets kind of muddled, which is weird. And I'm not really about like necessarily what they're trying to say. I don't care about old people. I'm just I'm talking about the family
Death
aspect.
stalks you at every turn.
The family aspect. But yeah, having that woman become the villain, even though she's like helped all these old people and stuff, and I don't know, it just felt weird. And then like the married couple being killed first, that was really weird. I don't know. Yeah, I was just confused a little bit, I think, but it's just a kind of like a basic type of horror movie. I think it's fine. I think it's solid. Got some good stuff going on in there, and I think I'll echo Randy with a 2.5.
Oh, real quick before we jump to Bob, like
Yeah.
the thing about like the lore or whatever is like they break the spell or whatever, or the curse or whatever you want to call it, by showing an act of kindness or family. And instead of,
Yeah.
they say in the narration, an act of family is always favored by the gods, but an act of you know of evil or whatever isn't, which is why that works against this guy who's demon possessed and killing people with insane ferocity or whatever. So like, I don't know, this whole thing hinges around them doing something nice for the elderly. I don't know. That whole aspect is so fucking confusing to me because they're trying to kill you. What are you supposed to fucking do? Like, that was a desperation move that just happened to work because
Yeah.
grandpa was there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
Strange stuff. Bob,
know.
where's
Bob
where
out
you
of
at with
5.
it?
Hey guys, yeah, I think we're mostly on the same page with this one. It just like this feels to me sort of like the German version of like some of these other movies that we've reviewed over the years. Like, The Boogeyman comes to mind. Maybe The Visit would be a closer like 1-to-1 here.
Yeah.
Just sort of like starter horror kind of movies. The messaging is extremely muddled in this because I feel like if you show this to any 13-year-old or whatever, the last thing they're going to want to do is, ask their parents to take them over to the local asylum so they can watch some old people feed. Like, I just don't see that happening. The blurb at the beginning about the spirits, the avenging spirits and stuff, feels like it just doesn't really belong in this movie. The inhaler trope, like it really, I can't stand it. I don't want to see it anymore. But this does have
Bob with his good lungs over here. Damn.
Fucking lung privilege, Bob. Check it.
These fucking kids lose their fucking inhalers.
Just
every other
breathe.
movie.
It's in and out. In and out. How hard
Hey,
it
badass.
Can't you just breathe, loser child? What? Why?
Who can't breathe? It's like the
Oh my
most
God.
basic thing humans can do.
I don't like whatever this is going to lead to. All right.
Yeah, it's got like a consistent spooky vibe. Like the tone is there. I think the look is there. Like it seems like they wanted to make a movie with scary old people, and they were like, well, I don't know. Here's some commentary. Have at it.
Yeah, it's like almost justify doing this like
Movie.
kind of
Scary
like
old people
minstrel
movie.
show
Yeah.
of elderly
Yeah.
people. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it can't be it can't be anti-old people because the whole message is that be
Yeah.
nice to old people. So
or else they'll murder you.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of weird. The scene with Rank with the where he puts the ball in the soft and murders the folks, definitely the strongest scene in the movie for me. It does kind of feel like it also just wants to be a zombie movie, but maybe they thought like zombie the subgenre of zombie is so insanely saturated at this moment in time. They're like, well, what's pre-zombie? Old people. They're not quite dead yet, so the old people turn into zombies. I don't know what their thought was, but this just doesn't totally hit it for me. But I could see, potentially a younger crowd getting some good like scares.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm on the same page. 2.5. Like, not the worst thing I've ever seen. It is not super memorable, and I feel like in a couple weeks I'll remember like 2% of this movie. Like, it's just gonna slide off the dome, kind of. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that obviously puts our aggregate at a 2.5, right down the middle. And as is per usual, whenever you guys pick a movie for us to review on the show, we invite you to send over an email or a voicemail. Hugh did send over an email, so let's see what he has to say about old people.
All right.
Oh, people.
Hugh Janus says this. Welcome to the 2020 Deuce movie, Old People, or as my crew of old folks call it, Wednesday. I just can't deliver it quite like Janus, but I'll do my best.
Who can?
I know,
mean,
yeah.
Singular voice.
I had never seen this movie before. Overall, not too bad. I was pulling for the old people until the old man killed Santa, pulled her upstairs, and when Ella finds her, she is naked. Not sure what the old man was doing, but a little too creepy. When Kim locked Ella outside and then tried to swallow the key, although hilarious, definitely a cooter move. We'll get there, my boy. I think it would have helped to have more scenes of old people killing random people in the village. Yeah. Overall, I would give Old People 2.75 stars out of 5. I think the only thing I have accomplished with this pick is to guarantee that Heidelberg will never again give away one of his picks. I cannot thank Heidelberg enough for giving me the pick. It means more to me than I can say that the Straight Chilling community has enjoyed my voicemail messages. To you three guys, thanks for all the kind words. Straight Chilling is the best podcast I listen to. Thanks again, and always remember, you are never too old to have a great childhood. Janus, my boy, Janus.
All
Hugh.
right. Yeah, so even he had his qualms with this movie, but I
Sure,
mean,
yeah.
we all know that Hugh chose this movie as a self-deprecating gag, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that a lot. Yeah, it would have been better to see. Like, I wish we had seen a little more like havoc being wreaked. That's like the Mars attack scene that could have turned this into like a bit of a
Yeah.
comedy where you have like
Yeah.
somebody like give an old person their dentures they're trying to reach for, and then they bite them immediately. Like, or
Yeah,
some
if you
shit
had
like
had a
that.
scene where somebody gets bitten and pulls away and there's dentures stuck to your
Oh my
arm
God,
or
that would've been
something, you could definitely ham it up a scotch.
Ah,
There's
man,
teeth in my ass. Fuck.
it's like these folks can't.
And I
take
like
care of
it.
themselves. Yeah, I don't know.
I got
It's
a
a
denture
strange
kink
movie.
now. Got a thing for him. Yeah,
Mhm.
thanks for picking this flick, Hugh. It's definitely something that was not on our radar, as we've stated. But
Oh.
also, good to hear from you, and thanks again just for like participating in our community and being so badass and funny.
Thank
we
you,
really,
Janus.
We love hearing from
Legend.
you.
Love it.
Yeah. Rad. Hugh Janus.
It's plum awesome.
Pick going in the book. I wrote it down in ink. Randeezy. Hit us with your Rotten Tomatoes segment, sir.
Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment where I'm going to have these gents guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is for Old People on RottenTomatoes.com. Now, this is an uncommon occurrence, but we have no audience score and we have only 5 reviews in the critic score. So we've got a paltry little set here.
Wow.
Yeah, so you guys are going to be probably sticking to those round numbers, I got to think. But go with your gut, go with your heart. Tell me, starting with Juice today, what percentage of those 5 reviews would you wager are positive reviews?
All right, so we're going with 20s here. With that in mind, then I'll say this is 5 reviews. I'll probably go with the 40% then.
40%. All right, Bob, how about you?
I'll take the 60.
Yeah, you guys are
Limited
just trying to
choices
hover right
here.
towards the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hey,
Well,
you'll
that- I
never
mean,
guess,
that's
but
why,
one of
yeah.
you guys got the ringy ding on this one. Guess what? Oh, there it is. Oh, hey, ho.
There it is.
So the correct answer, the correct percentage of positive reviews out of these 5 is 40%. Justin's going to take the only contest in the mix
Oh,
today.
shit.
Congrats to
Ring
Justin.
ding, Bob. That's a hell yeah.
All yeet, no skeet. Who likes that?
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
That's right.
Damn.
All right.
Shitstorm.
Let's-
Where's my ski? I'm trying to have a baby over here.
I'm
Oh,
trying.
God.
Good. Hank's wife.
Hangs.
All right. Let's what was I doing? I forgot what we're doing. I forgot what the show is. Who am I? I have dementia. Anyway, there is no critics consensus because, there's only 5. But I am going to read. I'll just read all 3 negative reviews since we got them. Here we go. Let me pull them up. Why is it not pulling them up? That's
Pull
my
it
question.
up.
Here we go. All right, here's one. The genre isn't known for its profundity, but Fesher could have leaned into that more and given his movie the chance to become that horror rarity, a genuinely disturbing thriller. What?
What? So
He
the review
could
is,
have
why
made-
isn't this better?
Yeah,
Like,
he could have made this a good movie.
He could have just
It
made
would have made it
better.
genuinely disturbing if he had leaned into making it much dumber because
There's
it's
a lot
making
of
it less
shit
profound.
horror, but you know what would have made this better if it was a better movie.
If it was just that.
But he
Genre-
could have
the
made
genre
a
isn't
good
known for its
movie.
profundity. Shut the fuck up. Get out of here.
What the fuck?
This-
Oh man.
This man is a certified reviewer on Rotten Tomatoes.
And somehow
Yes,
we are
yes.
not.
That's
Somehow.
probably for the best. All right, let's go with another one. While the acting is commendable and earnestly given, the worst offense is the writing that has characters often doing stupid things or making dumb decisions, which completely dissolves any suspension of disbelief. Yeah, sometimes. I think
Yeah.
that's fair sometimes. I don't think that's not necessarily a killer in every movie, though. I
No,
think
it
a strong
happens in a
movie
lot
can
of
overcome
movies.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
a lot of movies are a lot of movies that do that can also be a fuck ton of fun. And this movie
Yeah.
has some fun, but it's a lot more sparing because it's also trying to sneak in some reverence to, I don't know, protect itself against claims of ageism or some shit.
Mm.
Last negative review on here. Monotony spreads like an odorless, colorless gas, making us sleepier and sleepier as we stare, slack-jawed at scene after scene of old people shuffling about, braying like hounds, raising axes and broom handles over their heads with dramatic lighting.
Shuffling up.
My jaw slack.
Shuffling about.
I don't know, man.
At
Yeah.
first, I was agreeing, and then it kept going and
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. I don't know. This movie didn't really make me sleep. It was still like a fun, like beat for beat journey, like we said. Like
Yeah.
I still felt like I rode a ride, but I don't remember the story unless we interrogate it like we did, and
Yeah.
then yes, it does kind of fall apart. But I don't think it's quite what is described there, but whatever. So yeah, that's it for Rotten Tomatoes. Bob, I don't know if there is any trivia to speak of here. Is there?
There's nothing. I couldn't find anything on
Okay.
this.
Yeah, there's very little
So,
about this movie online, at least in English outlets we stick to usually.
yeah. Can't read German yet, and God knows there's no free translators online. So I got
Canope?
nothing.
God knows.
Right. So let's go ahead and jump into our cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Gooder of the week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Well, Cooter's character type on a straight chilling exclusive, Bob. Cooter has to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness, boys. I didn't try to do the German accent this week. I skipped out on that one.
Oh man,
Oh,
I was looking forward to hearing you slip into Scottish or some shit.
Ooh la la, the cooter. But yeah, we have a cooter this week. Maybe Kim. That's her name, right?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think
Kim?
that's the easy place to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. So
Pathetic, for
Pathetic,
sure.
yeah.
Pathetic's
Pathetic.
pretty high on this
Probably
one.
the biggest.
Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's a fragile ego. If
Yeah.
it starts with you being like a fairly altruistic person and ending with you trying to sacrifice a child and their mother because you don't like them very much.
To be fair, she's worried about losing her beefcake. So I mean, that'll make you do some crazy things.
You should be worried, you know?
Yeah, get rid of those childrens, and there's nothing standing.
And fuck them
God.
kids.
God damn.
Um,
God damn. If you want to hold on to your man, fucking get rid of them kids. Told you. Put it on the box.
man, there's a lot of true crime documentaries that speak to that. Anyway, yeah.
Manipulation? Is she
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
manipulating?
she manipulates the addled, cursed, fucking murderous, mercenary older person rank into going after a teenage girl instead of her because she's oh so nice to them. Or was.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think that's definitely one. And
Smug
I don't know, like what other
arrogance.
manipulation?
She has that like little talk, but she's kind of being sarcastic. Well, she goes into the bathroom that one time. She's like, "I really admire you, Ella." But does it turn to smug arrogance? I can't really remember, honestly.
I don't know if it's smug arrogance. It's like threatening, though.
Yeah,
for sure. Like
threatening,
she's
yeah.
being threatening. She's like, "This started because when you got here," and she's
This
clearly
is
blaming
my
her for this.
beefcake.
Yeah, how dare you dance with my beefcake?
Mama
We
likes
have-
her beef.
I love your beef. We have the beef.
I heard
Okay.
you went vegetarian, Bish, but Mama likes beef.
God damn.
Spicy.
Quarter pounder with cheese.
Extra cheese.
Good
Mama,
God.
Mama likes
Special sauce.
dairy too.
Really, just Mama likes Big Macs is what this is. Like,
Mama likes pounding Big Macs.
Quarter pounders
Quarter.
only.
quarter pounding.
Okay. This is not.
It is a
fertile
cooter
territory.
segment.
Yeah.
Turns out we
have
are the
become.
cooters
We
this
have
week.
become
Well,
the cooters.
yes.
Yes.
Well,
Looking at Tyra, I don't think there's anything going on there. So
Not
did
throughout the whole
she
movie,
hit
really.
enough? So manipulation we could give her for sure.
Patheticness.
There's no
for sure.
sexual deviance.
No.
Patheticness. So really it comes down to an aspect of does she get smug arrogance or not?
I don't think
I don't know that
so.
she does.
It's not
man.
strong enough. Maybe not.
She's
Yeah.
Never like smug. She's like defensive and
Yeah.
like of herself, but it's not out of like, aren't I so great? It's
Yeah.
out of insecurity, actually.
All right, so maybe there's enough to get this old man because I was just thinking, could we maybe give this guy sexual deviance for like drooling all over this lady while she's banging her husband?
Also depends on how much you think he's in control of that.
Well,
Yeah, he's pretty well composed. the
it
rest of
felt
the
like
time,
there
so
was
yeah.
like it almost like bordered on this aspect of I thought it was gonna go too far, you know.
Also, like
definitely
all the
could've.
old people are supposed to be possessed, though. This isn't. I
But
guess.
he seems
So maybe it's
aware.
the gods.
He
the
seems aware
gods, yeah.
though, because I would give him smug arrogance.
The gods don't believe in divorce. That's pretty cootery. in my
Yeah,
opinion.
but we're gonna marry this, by murdering this newly married couple, we never gave them a chance to get a divorce, so we
Equilibrium is
saved them.
restored. Exactly. Kind of a self-defeating set of gods there.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Um,
I think that we
yeah.
might just not have a cooter. And the thing is, like,
Maybe
even if you
not.
look at Kim, who to me is like does the most, like the highest level cooter
cootery.
behavior
Yeah,
in any one category. Even her, like, she's like oscillates.
yeah,
Her character oscillates so much, and like she doesn't really seem like somebody that I want to die until she starts like actively trying to get people killed. And I don't even really. You could chalk it up to just like pure panic move sort of thing. So I don't know.
yeah. Okay,
It just doesn't seem like it's a cootery movie to me.
cool. All right,
Yeah.
cooter free since 2020 deuce.
All right.
All old people
Yeah.
are safe. You're
I
all
guess.
safe from
There's
Cooterdom.
no old cooters out there.
They don't exist. You heard it here. All right, boys. Let's go ahead and kick back and talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randeezy, what you been watching?
Yeah, I've watched a few things this week. For one, I watched the first episode of the new season of The Jinx, and I gotta say, I am not being grabbed by it. I don't know about anybody else, but it is just I had a hard time paying attention to it. I'll be
That
honest
first
with
one
you.
still like lives in my mind as one of the most
Yeah.
crazy fucking moments of TV I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, like it absolutely is, but it's like all centers around this completely accidental moment that will never happen again.
No, yeah, that I
Like,
mean that's just that was fucking gold, dude. Oh my
yeah,
god.
and it was a pretty good documentary at a time when like true crime documentaries, short or limited series, like
Yeah.
was still in its nascent form.
Yeah.
So it felt fresh. It was like around the time Serial came out and all that shit. So it was like
Yeah.
true crime was just burgeoning into the hot spot it is now, and or maybe it's crested. I don't know, but I don't know. It just didn't grab me.
Yeah.
But we had some friends over and they asked what sort of weird documentary we might watch. So I put on Tickled. The
Oh, no.
I thought you were going
Justin
for Bigfoot.
Ferrier.
Oh.
No, we've watched that already. Come on. I said they're friends, so
The
Um,
first
to
time
say-
I met them.
yeah, that's how I know if I like somebody. No, we watched Tickled and it blew their minds, and
Yeah,
it's
that's a
always
good one.
nice to watch people say "What the fuck" at the screen when you show them something. It's so fun. So, for those listening who might not have seen it, it is available all over the place. I want to say it was on Pluto TV, but it's a documentary about ostensibly about a competitive tickling league, which is very plainly fetishistic, and which also is run by a mystery person who really hates gay people and is very, very open about that. And that's what led to the events of the movie. The director is from that Dark Tourism show, and we watched Mr. Organ last year. It's that same director, Justin Ferrier, right? Is it Justin? Do I have that?
I don't know. I'll
It's
Google it.
Ferrier, but David
Yeah.
Ferrier, I think. Yeah. Anyway, it's a very good documentary. It's very, very entertaining, and it kind of resolves. And there's also like a 20-minute after the movie comes out, more shit happens, and they cover it there. But it's great. Recommend. I'm sure I brought it up on here a couple of times. I've seen it like 3 times. Anyway, after that, I also got a new game, which is scratching my Pokemon Snap itch, which is called Endless Ocean, where you're just scuba diving your asshole off, going around discovering fish and shit, and it's just a zen game for me. I don't know if I like it as much as that. It's not as polished as that game, and it's not as like cute and fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it still kind of does that thing where it's just the fun of like moving around and exploring and finding new fish and having them follow you and doing all this silly stuff. It's on the Switch, so it's not like hyper realistic. So like the awe factor isn't really high,
Yeah.
but it's calming. So I like it for that. And then last is the return of a web show that I love and greatly admire, and who is done by a guy I've been following for years and years, like well over a decade at this point, called John Boyce, who is involved with this. He's a sports journalist who's involved with this group, or helped found this group, Secret Base, and they do a lot of like sports statistic stories and things like that, which is not really up my alley, but the way that he specifically formats his stories and tells his stories are so fucking interesting. And his original show was not tied just to sports. It was kind of whatever was interesting him in the time. It's called Pretty Good Stories That Are Pretty Good is the name of this series.
All right.
And I watch these things over and over again, and he hasn't made one for a long, long time. But they just the Secret Base and him just kicked off this this Patreon account where they're going to start putting these things out. And their first 3-part documentary series of Pretty Good back from retirement came out, and it's very fucking good. It's about the Reform Party, founded by Ross Perot, and the last third party to have any sort of mainstream success at all in America, in the political system, and just how that happened. Just like walking through the stages of how this happened, starting with the first piece, which is on YouTube now, and then because I'm on the Patreon, I've seen the full hour and a half of this, and it's very fucking interesting. It's great work. It's very unique. It's like it's very calming too. It's like he's kind of like the Joe Pera of sports journalism, where it's very like calming and rational and kind of fun and like I don't know. I love this guy. He does great stuff. He's gotten kind of big in his own right since I started following him, and you know, I hope that it's only great things for them from now on, because or I hope his their star continues to rise, because this Pretty Good show is great, and it makes me interested in things that I would never dream of spending that long thinking about. So that speaks for itself, I think. And that's really it for me. I'm gonna call it on that. How about you, Juice?
Still not watching a whole lot these days, but I did watch a Korean movie called A Company Man. It's kind of like a John Wick. It's about a guy who works for this company that essentially is their hitman, but they play it off as like it's a regular company. So it's like this big kind of like commentary on Korean work society, and he eventually kind of like wants to get out, but they don't want to let him out or whatever, you know. It's pretty good. Action thrillery type of movie. I also started watching this Korean show to practice my Korean listening mostly. It's called A Shop for Killers, and it's about a girl whose uncle dies. This is a Showtime show, I think, or limited series, and her uncle dies, and turns out he's a black market arms dealer, and so she kind of gets caught up in the shit of like just inheriting his things, and like people want their weapons and money and shit like that. So another kind of like dark thrillery actiony kind of show. Solid so far. And then the only other thing I have that has been occupying my time entertainment wise is the Drake Kendrick Lamar battle
What
that's
is
been
going on
going
with
on
that?
So
there.
clearly it's big news, because I am
Yeah,
not.
I mean, it's all pretty much just happened in the past week, but it was like involving some other people, and they were kind of like calling each other out. Like J. Cole was involved at first, but he like dipped out. But essentially, like, dude, so in the past week, there's been what? Kendrick dropped 3 or 4 tracks. Drake dropped like 2 tracks. So it's been like, I don't know, 5 or 6 tracks dropped. And essentially Kendrick Lamar at this point is just like calling Drake a pedophile, and like calling out some of the shit that like Millie Bobby Brown said in some of her interviews when she was like 14. And there's like footage of like Drake kissing this like 17-year-old on stage at one point. It was like his fan. And like, it's just gotten really nasty. Drake was talking about like Kendrick Lamar beating his wife, and like they're bringing their kids into it, like you abandon your kids, or you have this like
Damn.
fake or this daughter that you didn't like recognize as yours, like just like really nasty shit, dude. But the final
God
one
damn.
the final one was pretty much like Kendrick Lamar calling Drake a pedophile, and like comparing him to like Epstein and Weinstein and stuff like that. And then Drake released this kind of like rebuttal that was like kind of damning a little bit, where it feels like oh man, it's kind of cringe, honestly. It's like somebody who's guilty trying to pretend like they're not guilty. It's kind of hard. I don't know. It's hard to describe. But anyways, it's been a very entertaining week. So if you're interested in any of that, there's several tracks. They're all available on like major streaming platforms and stuff like that. And like they were all coming out like back to back to back to back. Like literally all this happened in like 1 week. So it's been pretty interesting week.
I wonder how many years it's going to take for that to become just its own concept album, joint concept album that they're going
Well,
to.
that's what people were saying. Like Kendrick is like, oh my god, he's almost got a diss EP, because he dropped like 3 songs like back to back to back, I think, like day after day, and then there were some rebuttals, and it was entertaining every time. The thing is they would pop up at like 3 a.m., but to me that's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so I'm just like strolling around like, oh fuck, shit's going down again. So I didn't have to like wait up late or anything. It's just my regular afternoon. So yeah, quite entertaining. But yeah. Anyways, Bob, what you been watching and doing?
Not a whole lot, man. Just continuing on my Marvel journey. This week we watched the Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and I hadn't seen those since theaters.
Those are so good.
Infinity War was mostly enjoyable. It's definitely it feels kind of like a setup because it is obviously it's the first half of this tale.
Yeah.
And they have so much plot to get through, and you kind of feel that a little bit. But I will say, like, it's enjoyable, and when the end game comes around, it totally solidifies everything. That it sticks the fucking landing so well. It makes all the setup totally worth it. End game is great.
I honestly, interestingly, I think that I like Infinity War a lot better.
Me
like,
too.
As a whole movie.
Me
Oh.
too.
But I think that the end point for fucking Endgame is
That's
it's
the
tough
part
to
of
beat,
Endgame
you know?
I always watch because I always feel like Endgame is then that whole movie
like
is a
3
setup
movies.
just for the end to happen or whatever. I feel like
Right.
you're
So-
talking about there being a lot of plot for Infinity War. Infinity War is one where I feel like I could throw on, and every scene is so exciting that I could pop in at any scene. But Endgame, it's like I really only want to watch the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. Like they have the
Yeah.
heist movie in the middle of it. They have
Yeah.
the fucking like the aftermath, which is cool, but like
Yeah.
that first aftermath or whatever, but that's really more runoff from the movie before than it is
Yeah.
about the movie
So-
itself.
But still,
repetitive.
as a combo,
that,
they're great. Yeah, as a combo
Yeah,
together,
it's a-
yeah, that's
It's an
peak.
incredible couple of movies.
yeah. Mhm.
I don't like Fat Thor. I'm gonna say that too.
I
Like, all that
agree.
seems
And
very
even
not
Smart
good to me.
Hulk is a little kind of rubs me a little wrong too, honestly.
It's a little bit goofy, but at least that's not like a stupid joke at Thor's expense. That is
Sure.
something that happens in the comics. Like that's something that was bound to happen at some point.
Bob, you're getting
Is-
pretty far in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's
we've
see
been
if you
watching.
continue because I stopped.
lot.
I don't think that we're continuing.
Yeah, I think just by nature of all the shit that we're about to do for the next couple weeks, we probably will stop. I don't know. Maybe we'll pick it up, but
Gotta
I
pack
think
out them
next-
blues.
I know, and if they're in
That's
a
gonna-
box, it means I can't
Only
watch
so
them.
many hours. Only so many hours in the day.
Oh,
So,
Bob.
yeah, it's gonna take
And
a
you
couple
gotta
weeks. Just,
unpack them.
that's a month right there. Boxing and unboxing the blues, solid month.
I believe that.
That's really all I've been watching this week,
Mm.
though. Not a lot.
We've been busy boys.
Yeah,
We are
We've been
busy
thin on
boys.
the watching these past couple weeks.
busy boys.
Busy boys.
Well, and especially in comparison
Mm.
to like often we'll have like 3 weeks worth of build up because we're just running our fucking mouths too long.
That's true.
I'm all backed up over here. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our last segment of the show, our Hotline Screams.
Hotline scream.
If you are listening, would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got one voicemail this week. I don't believe he actually says who he is, but I'm pretty sure it's your boy Steve. Sounds like Steve.
Steve.
Let's see what he's got to say.
What up, fellas? Well, hello. It's a nice day in New Jersey. I'm sitting in the backyard grilling up some burgers. They're being burst into flame because I haven't cleaned my grill in a while and there's grease everywhere, so they're on fire. So I should clean my grill, I guess. But what do I see? To my wondering eyes, that's the phrase, do appear an out of nowhere bonus episode of Straight Chillin'. Fantastic. So I haven't seen Jane Doe in a long time, but I did like the movie. Thought it was really good. And just a funny, quick story. I was watching it with my buddy, and it was right at the time in the movie where it's like right before shit really starts to hit the fan. You know, where a reasonable person might think, this doesn't seem normal. We should run away. And we're sitting on the couch, and I look at him, and I say, you know, because you're doing that thing where horror characters are stupid, they never make the right decisions. And I say, you know, at what point do you just say, let's get the fuck out of here? And literally the second after he said that, Brian Cox turns to his kid and says, Let's get the fuck out of here. And that was just really funny. Okay. Well, hope you guys are doing well. And so long.
Fuck off.
I know. Hearing Brian talk say the word "fuck" is one of the most like soothing things.
I don't
Damn.
That's not how I describe it, but sure.
All
Puts me
right.
right to sleep. I love it.
Oh wow. Wow, he definitely would have been at home in the Roy family. Yeah, he's so fucking fun, man. He's so fucking fun, and like that is really, really great. I love his character in that is eventually like breaks that seal earlier than I think a lot of movies would have had him break it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he lasts too long of being like, oh, we gotta stay, we gotta finish
Yeah.
up. Like he does that a little bit, but then he's like, oh, okay,
No,
let's
yeah.
get the fuck out of here. Like,
Oh, this is fucked. This whole situation.
Oh, hey, we
Steve,
gotta get out of
oh,
here.
whoa, is Brian Cox here?
Hey, I'm Autops in here.
Oh, way. I put a toe tag on her. You know what I'm saying?
Trying to cut open this prod. Hey, oh.
Oh,
Hey,
what this
Steve,
is.
Steve, I hope you did not burn your house down.
Yeah,
Keep
damn. Clean that grill.
Yeah, keep it away from the house if it's exploding into flames. It's
Hank Hill
grilling
is
season.
weeping somewhere.
Yeah, it's grilling season, baby.
Whoa.
Be
It
safe.
is, man.
Stay safe.
Good times. Yep.
Send me a burger in the mail too, by the way, because your boy is hungry.
Yeah.
Just to Bob. We don't.
Ma-
I'm good.
Mama loves her beef.
Quarter pounding since day one.
Damn.
Call in and leave a voicemail if you want to be featured on next week's show. Again at 904-638-3231. Joe Mang's prompts for next week. And because I know you're going to ask. Next week, we're talking about the winner of the May poll, which is Memories of Murder from 2003.
Memorize. Oh, murder. What are your favorite memories of murder?
Tell us. Confess on our show. Live.
Actually, you know what? I think a good question might have popped into my head. Is there any true type of murder that you're aware of in the history of like the United States that you think should be made into a film? Like, is there one that like you find really kind of interesting or that hasn't really been tackled or that really not a lot of people know about that you feel like could make a pretty good film?
Well, shit, I want to see a movie about this fucking Boeing whistleblower that's suddenly dead
Dude,
personally.
that shit is
very, very fucked up.
Very fucked up. Yes. That is not,
would-
dude. That's some bold shit. They're just killing people without consequence.
Yep.
Just straight up.
Yep. Exactly.
Ooh, that is fucked.
So maybe
Oh my
don't make a
God.
movie about that because you
Okay.
might die.
God damn, fuck Boeing.
No matter
dude.
how many times you say, I have no
Mm.
suicidal intentions, you will still
Nope.
get suicided.
Oh, it
Those
was a
dudes-
fast-acting infection. Nothing that could happen. I know.
Yeah.
Which one of y'all dead motherfuckers just said that shit?
That shit's fucked up, man.
That's a great bump.
It's very
Yeah, that's a
fucked up.
little too fucking convenient, isn't it? You know?
Oh, dude,
It's
there's
very
yeah.
convenient. Anyway, but like I sent us down a rabbit hole here. Yes, like there's a lot of fucking murders in this country, and if you would have one in mind that you would like to see adapted into film,
If you want to see
I'm very
some
interested
white
in that.
dude get rich off it, tell us about it.
Damn.
Some lumpy CEO somewhere just needs to
Lumpy
cash another check. Cash
Alright.
in
See
on
that
that
guy?
murder.
Isn't he lumpy? He's a lumpy guy.
Maybe the
Um,
fucking Boeing CEO who didn't kill anybody, by the way, is gonna be the one that bankrolls the movie on how this dude died. And it's gonna be called If I Had
Maybe
Done It. He's
Ins-
gonna go do the OJ route, but with a movie instead of a
maybe
book.
instead of hiring
Now
a
you fucked up. You have fucked up now.
maybe instead of hiring a hitman, they could hire a few more inspectors, just kind of cover their bases.
Right? Do
I mean,
a
it's
good job.
it's gotta be cheaper to hire a few engineers to check on shit instead of
Like, why
many,
don't you
many
just do your
killers.
job?
I don't know. If you can just hire a fast acting infection,
Mm,
you know, that can't cost you much.
That-
Shit's
Those
Wow.
fuckers are
true.
they're sending people to space like I think tonight.
I would not go to space.
Yeah.
Have
Nah.
We'll see how that goes, I guess.
We'll see how that goes.
out of Cape Canaveral.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so call in with murders.
Call in
All
with
right.
murders.
Cool.
Please call in with your murders.
Call in with your
Are
murders.
you a murderer? Have you ever gotten away with it? Call in. We want to hear.
Let us know all about it. 904-638-3231. Next week, like I said, we're talking Memories of Murder from 2003 for the Korean Creature Comforts poll. Check it out. It's a good one. It's on Criterion. It's definitely on Blu-ray. It's probably streaming it like on VOD somewhere. I don't know if it's on Netflix off top of the dome. I think it was at one point.
Yeah.
So check out Memories of Murder. We'll be back next week. Until then, hit us up on all the social medias. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. We'll be there. If you want to join us in our daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on social media, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. Shouts out to your boy Hugh motherfucking Janus. And until next week, as always, everybody please keep chilling.
My grandmother was a lesbian.